Chapter 63:37. When Helena stepped into the data center, she did not bring any royal entourage or attendants with her. Instead, she brought more than 20 staff members wearing blue cotton work clothes, anti-static gloves, masks, and protective caps. Most of these staff members were technicians mobilized by the Yin family from the United States. But there were 4 non-professionals who were just filling in the gaps. Namely Charlie and Maria, the second uncle Marcus and Duncan. This transaction with the Rothschild family was handled by Helena. So Charlie did not want Simon to know that the Wade family and the Yin family were involved. Marcus and Duncan were both well-known figures in the United States. Especially Marcus, who had long been the head of the Yin family's external business. Simon naturally knew him. So everyone simply put on masks and mixed in with a group of staff. Simon's attention at this time was not on these uniformed staff members at all. Because according to the daily operating standards of this highest-level data center, the staff does need to wear anti-static cotton clothing, gloves, hats, and masks along with other necessary equipment. The staff behind him who are building AI models are actually wearing the same equipment. The only 2 people who did not change clothes on the scene are him and Helena. Simon was naturally very happy to see Helena. He walked up quickly and took the initiative to kiss Helena's hand. Then he said respectfully, "Your Majesty, it's an honor to meet you again." Helena maintained the pride and reserve that a queen should have, and said loudly, "It's a pleasure to see you in Northern Europe." "Mr. Rothschild, what stage are we at now?" Simon pointed to the endless large cabinets behind him and said excitedly, "Your Majesty, these cabinets you can see are all loaded with the most advanced computing chips. My engineers told me that they are now in standby mode. So you will find that the machines inside these cabinets are very quiet. But once they are given instructions to run at full speed, they will not be very quiet. When calculating, the roar of these machines will be comparable to a Boeing 747 taking off. When all the processors here are running at full capacity, the power they need to operate will be comparable to the electricity demand of a small city. It will be spectacular." Helena nodded slightly and said, "Then let them all run. I want to see how powerful it is when all its computing power is concentrated on executing a task." AI data centers of the same size in New York, USA, provide various types of AI computing services to at least tens of millions of people at the same time. Although some calculations can call on the computing power of users' local devices, most of the computing work is still completed by the data center in the cloud. Then the results are sent to the user's terminal device. In other words, ordinary people can only use 1/1,000,000th of the computing power of this data center at most. If all this computing power is concentrated on one task, its execution power will exceed everyone's normal cognitive range. Simon didn't understand how this model worked. So he said to a technician next to him, "Hank, run the model and demonstrate it to Her Majesty the Queen." "Okay, Mr. Rothschild." The technician called Hank immediately said, "Your Majesty, please move to the main console." The local execution end of the entire AI model is integrated into the central console. I will demonstrate the startup and operation of the model to you and your staff there, and then transfer the online execution authority to your staff. Helena nodded, "Thank you for your hard work." Everyone moved to the center of the computer room, where there was an island similar to a command center. In addition to various control equipment, there were also several large ultra-clear screens suspended from the ceiling, which displayed the real-time status of the entire AI model with charts and numbers. Hank stood in front of the computer in the center. As he hit the enter key, a cold female voice immediately came out of the surrounding speaker system. "System startup, please enter the password for identity verification." Hank immediately entered a series of passwords on the keyboard. And then the system reminded again, "Enter the biometric verification stage. Please place both hands on the palm print recognition panel and look directly at the camera for facial recognition." Hank did as he was told and introduced. Because the model needs to be constantly trained and the database is constantly updated, It needs to capture all new content that can be captured on the internet 24 hours a day. We have now connected the model to the internet. For security reasons, the system requires very strict identity verification before it can operate. As he spoke, he introduced. The palm print recognition panel can not only recognize fingerprints and palm prints, but also detect the body temperature, heart rate, and blood oxygen of the main body. In other words, only living people can pass the verification. As he spoke, the LED light next to the camera facing him suddenly began to flash various colors at a very fast speed. Hank said again, the facial recognition system will also perform biological survival verification. It can not only detect subtle changes in pupils, but also use infrared to detect the body contour of the verifier and whether it is the same body as the palm print verification. At the same time, it can randomly flash 40 different colors within 1 second. The camera will capture the color reflected by the verifier's face at the same time to ensure consistency, so as to prevent hackers from hacking the camera and deceiving the camera in other ways. Moreover, our camera can construct the 3D contour of the face through the reflection of different parts of the face to ensure that the person in front of it is a real person, not a simulated mask or simulated model. Relying on its own powerful computing power, it can subdivide my face into tens of millions of details for intelligent comparison. Even if there is a person who looks 99% similar to me, it is impossible to deceive it. After a series of authentication judgments, the system finally sounded a prompt. Verification successful. Welcome to GPT. I will serve you at any time. Hank turned around, looked at Helena, and said respectfully, Her Majesty can now give orders to AI. The large screen in the center is the presentation terminal. It will present the results you need here. Helena asked him, What can I ask? Everything. Hank said, It can answer any question for you. If the database has an authoritative answer to your question, it will tell you the answer directly. If its database does not have an authoritative answer, it will think of an answer which it thinks correct, based on its own computing power, and give it back to you. At the same time, she will explain to you that the answer is a subjective judgment, and it is up to you to decide whether to adopt it.